because for the last 50 years, there has been a war on the middle class in this country. In the 1970s, the average American couple could afford a house, they could afford a car, they could afford a yearly vacation. One salary could support a family of four. One parent could afford to stay home with the children, and they could afford to send their kids to college. That was called a thriving middle class. You cannot have a thriving democracy where there is no thriving middle class. But all that has changed, and that middle class has collapsed. And that was strategized. Over the last 50 years, there has been a $50 trillion transfer of wealth from the bottom 90% of Americans to the top 1%. So that now a majority of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. A majority of Americans cannot afford to absorb a $500 unexpected expenditure. 70% of Americans say that they live with chronic economic insecurity and anxiety, bound by the invisible chains of economic stress. And that is the new status quo in America. And that is because the government itself is held hostage by corporations. We are no longer functioning as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Abraham Lincoln said that the men who died at Gettysburg died so that that dream would not perish from the earth, but it is perishing now. We're a government of the corporations and by the corporations and for the corporations, a matrix of corporate overlords that own Washington and control this country. From insurance companies to pharmaceutical companies to big food companies, big agricultural companies, big chemical companies, gun manufacturers, big oil and defense contractors. They have turned Washington into a system of legalized bribery. That status quo, that unholy alliance between government and corporate power will not disrupt itself. It is time for the people to step in.
Thank you.